Hello and welcome everybody, this is Roland Hartmann from GraphicInMotion.com. Thank you very much for purchasing my digital code logo reveal template. In this tutorial I will show you how to use and how to customize this template. So first of all, let's open up the project file, digital code logo reveal, open it up, and you see that After Effects tells me that it must convert the project, but don't worry, just click OK. This only means that it was originally created with an older version of After Effects, and I created this template with After Effects CC 2015. So you can use it also with After Effects 2015 and all later and newer versions. Right now I'm working in After Effects build 17, so this is the 2020 CC 2020 version. By default, you see that we are already in our setup composition where all the animation is happening, and my example logo is already forming using all of these code particles here. And now I will show you how you can enter your own logo. If you want to use a logo file, then you go to File and Import it. So let's go to Import, Import File. For the sake of this tutorial, I will use the Envato logo as an example. And I will just import this. Then we move to the logo composition. If it's not already open in the timeline, which it should be, then you can find it right here. Just double click to open it up. Now let's drag in our logo on top of our placeholder. If you want to use a title, which is of course also possible, then you can just use this text layer here, and you can just double click and enter your title. Okay. Now with my logo here, I will just scale this up a little bit. Something like that, not too big. By the way, one hint, if you make it really, really big like that, then it may happen that your logo gets cut off at the sides. And this is just because the particle size is not that big. I wanted to save some memory and some render time. So if you really want to get this look, then you would have to come into your logo code reveal, but I really would not recommend to do that because it looks really strange anyway. So just scale it down a bit. It will look better and it will work better. In my case, I will go for more or less this size. Looks quite nice. So let's go to our setup composition to see what we have got. And you see now my Envato logo is built by my code particles. Of course, you can change the content of these particles. If we take a look here at an earlier stage in our animation, you see that right now they are just random symbols and random numbers from our digital 7 font. That's the font that I use here. You can find the link to this specific font in the links folder in the project. But you can of course use any font for these particles, and let me show you how to customize these. So to customize our particle content, we go to the code letters composition. Again, if it's not already open here, you can find it right here. Just double click to open it up. And now you see what we've got here. We have a sequence of layers that is changing the content over time. And each of these particles that you can see here will do the same. So it will play exactly the same sequence that we have got here. So you can put in, for example, a name. And this is exactly what I want to do in our example. So to customize this, my first step will be to just delete all the layers except the first one right here, or the bottom one. So just delete them, we don't need them. And now I will put in my content. So my first letter, because I want to use the name of the company, which is Envato, so let's type in Envato. First of all, I need an E. Then I duplicate this layer, double click, N, duplicate it again, double click, V, duplicate it again. By the way, duplicating is Control and D on the keyboard. So double click, Enva, duplicate it again, double click T, and duplicate it one more time and put in the O. Now I have to sequence these layers, and to sequence layers, you just select them in the order that you want them to be sequenced. So I select my first layer, hold down Shift and select the last letter, and then I go to Animation, Keyframe Assistant, and Sequence Layers. I do not want them to overlap, so just click OK. And now I have got my Envato sequence. Now to make sure that I don't get any empty particles right here, I have to trim my composition to the duration of my sequence. So to do that, you just select the last layer here in your sequence, press O on your keyboard to move to the out point here, and then press N on your keyboard to bring your work area right to the end of this layer. Maybe you just have to extend it a bit that it fills out the last space here as well. That's okay. Could extend it one more frame just to make sure. And now we can just right click and say trim comp to work area. So this is my example. Now make sure that you select all the layers and then you go to the align window here and make sure that it is set to composition here, and then you can just press this one here, the horizontal alignment and the vertical alignment, just to make sure that all of them are really in the middle, which they are nicely now. And if you need more space in this composition, you can always come to the composition settings here and increase the duration here. So for example, if you have a really long title or a lot of symbols that you want to use, then you can change this, and you see now I've got a bunch of space here to fill up with my content for my particles. But just for now, again, I will trim this down and we will take a look what this does. Now inside my setup composition, you will see now all of my particles will change to one of these letters. And if we take, or if we create a quick round preview, then you will see that all of these letters are displaying this little sequence. So I will just do that. And by the way, before I create a RAM preview, to increase the performance of this template, it can get a bit slow because we have a lot of particles, we have depth and field and all of this stuff. So if you want to increase the performance while working on it, I would recommend first of all to change the resolution here to maybe half or even lower, depending on the power of your system. And I would also recommend to turn off the depth of field. If you have any problems with performance, then just unhide all of these layers. That's always a good tip because then you can really see what's happening here. Then select the camera, press AA and just turn this off for now. Don't forget to turn it on if you want this depth of field, then turn it on again before exporting. But for now, this will increase the performance to work and to create quick previews quite a bit. So I will create a quick preview with exactly these settings. So resolution set to half and the depth of field turned off. Okay, so I will be back when the short RAM preview is finished. Okay, so the quick RAM preview is finished and you see what we've got here. Now, of course, because they're moving quite fast in the beginning, it's a bit difficult to see, but each of our particles is now writing the name or the sequence of letters that I put into our code letters composition. Okay, so far so good. So let's just extend our work area back out to the whole duration of my composition. Now, the next option that you have is, of course, to change the look and the color of these particles and of the network here. So let's first of all concentrate on our logo particles. I will just move in a bit in my timeline to see more of them, like this, or even further, like so. And you see we have these nice colors here, a lot of blues, a little bit orange and stuff. But you probably want to change this to colors that match your logo. So in my case, I want to take over some colors from the Envato logo. So let's move to the end of my animation when the logo is revealed. And I will just, as a main color now, feature this color. So inside the Stardust logo code layer, in the Effect Controls panel, if you cannot find it, you can find it here in Windows. And then you go to Effect Controls right here, open this up. Now I closed it, so open it up. Then you can see inside the particles here, it should be already opened like you see it here. And if it's not open, then please open up the particle properties and then open up the color gradient. But as I said, it should be already open as you see it here in my example. Now we only have to deal with this gradient here. And this is what we are interested in. So first of all, let's take this first color here and click this little box that you can see here. Now take our color picker and just pick a color in your logo or specify any color that you want. Okay, so as a second color, I know that I want to have this white. So I will just set this second color here to white. And now we'll just move to my particles and we'll take a look here. And I will change these a bit. So I have nice bright green particles. I have a few white particles. And now I just will vary this a little bit. So first of all, I just want to feature the same color that I have got here, but I want to make it way brighter. So something like really bright, something like that. Looks nice. And then we change this color as well. Of course, you do not need to use all of these colors. You know, you can just use one color or two colors or whatever. It's up to you. So quite versatile here. And now I take a darker color, or maybe let's say make this even darker and brighten up this one a little bit, just like so, that we have a few different ones in here. And now I will just reduce this a bit. And this way I can art direct how many particles I want. So if you want to have a lot of white particles, then you have to make this area bigger. And now you see we shift towards the white particles. But if you want these to be only a few, then just make this smaller. This is how you can art direct the distribution of your colors inside your particles. Okay, so I think that this looks pretty cool. That's very nice. Now I can just simply copy this gradient by clicking this copy tab here, and then we go to particles number 2 on the same layer and paste it in. And now our code particles are already finished. Now let's move to the Stardust grid layer right below here. And there again, it should be already open. If not, then just open up the network particles and the color, the particle properties and the color gradient. Paste it in here as well. Paste it in here, then network particles 2, paste it in here as well. And then the floating particles, which are these small squares here that you can see here, paste them in as well. Of course, you can put in here different particle colors, or you can change the distribution a bit. Maybe you want these squares to be a bit brighter. You know, it's totally customizable, and you can art direct this really however you want. So I think that this is pretty nice. You know, I just will change it a bit to make it even a bit more random, a bit more interesting, and just give a bit more brightness to my network here, something like that. Okay, looks nice. Then we can change the colors of the particle burst. We didn't talk about this yet. So if you take a look at around this area here where these two layers start, there is this nice reveal burst that we've got here. So to change the look of this particle burst, you can select the Stardust particle burst layer. And then you see again, we have two different gradients. And here we can first of all paste in our gradient to the first particle tab here. Paste it in. And now I can rearrange this a bit. So let's say I want to start with bright green particles, but not really with the white ones. I will just get rid of this, just drag it out. Let's say we want to start with this here. Then I want to have these particles, so a little bit darker. And in the end, I want them to be quite dark. And you can shift these really to the side here because the burst is very, very short. And this way it will animate through these colors quite nicely. And now we can copy this and paste it over here in the second gradient and just maybe shift them a little bit to get some interesting variations here. And if we really want to make it interesting, then let's say we could add a bit of blue in here. Blue and green always go together. Blue and green go together quite nicely. So this should be a bit more interesting here towards the end. Yeah, like that. You see now the blue is taking over a bit, creating a really nice effect. Okay, so this way you can create your burst colors. So the next step that you can do is you can colorize this network here. Let me just change the resolution to full that we can see it here. This is this network that is helping us to reveal our logo. And right now it is set to different colors. It is animating. And to change that, there is this setup layer here. And there are a few color controls here that we can use. And I will go through these now. So first of all, we have the logo color overlay. Right now, if you take a look at the end of our composition of our animation, you see that our logo is revealed in the original colors, the green and the white. But if you want to use an overlay color, then you can just select this checkbox and then you can specify whatever color you want right here in the color overlay. So maybe I want to make this totally green. Doesn't look too good, but you can do it if you want. Just use a color overlay. In my case, I do not want this, so I just turn it off. Now we have the next option, and that is this grid here. So let's take a look at the beginning here of this reveal animation. And there is the option to colorize this grid overlay. If I make this a little bit bigger, here you see it's called logo grid reveal overlay on off, and this is this grid here. And if I turn this off, then it will use just the original colors of the logo. In this case, it's of course the white here. That looks quite nice actually. But if you want, you can use another color. You can just specify the colors by clicking on this. And what I did as a standard here is I put in a small animation. If you take a look here now, exactly on the setup layer and press U on your keyboard, there are a few keyframes. So you see that in the beginning, this grid is blue. So in the beginning, we have this blue grid here. Then it will turn to purple, and then it will turn to orange. And I did this because, yeah, my logo just features these colors, and it looks quite cool if it changes over time here and creates this nice look. So you can do this. You can come in here and change this. So let's go for it. Let's try it out. Let's just move to the first keyframe here. And let's just change this color, maybe let's say to one of these greens here. I can feature this directly from my viewport here. So let's just take this green. Maybe in the beginning we make it a bit brighter. So let's take this one here. Now let's move to the next one. And instead of this purple, we will just feature maybe, let's say, this one here. Bit of a brighter one. Oh, I missed that one here, but I just will make it manually. Now the next one here, let's put in some bluish tint here, just as an example, small experiment. And the last one here, let's take over the dark green that we've got in here. So let's see, let's just take this one and turn it a bit down. Okay, so right now, if you take a look at our grid, now it's animating through these colors, and this will create a really cool effect. But as I said, if you do not want to use this, then just turn off the logo grid reveal. If you want only one specific color, then it's very easy. You just unclick this stopwatch, and then you can just specify the color. I should have told this probably in the beginning, but you know, if you say, no, I want this just to be purple, then you just untick the stopwatch, delete all the keyframes, and select and specify your color right here at the logo grid reveal overlay color picker. Okay, cool. In my case, I don't want to use the overlay for this example. I will just turn it off. Now there's one more thing to do, and this is to change the background. If you take a look here at the background, you see it has a slightly bluish tint, which I actually like. It looks quite cool, also with these greens together. But if you want, you can of course change this. And this is the beachy light color picker here. If you change this, for example, now to green, you will see what this does. It will just tint our background in a bit of a greenish way. Or of course, other colors are also possible, so you can do whatever you want here and create your background look. And of course, the darker you get here, the darker the background will be, and the brighter you get, the brighter your highlights will be. So you can also change the lighting or control art direct the lighting a bit here. Okay, so let's undo that. I will just stick with this slight bluish tint here, maybe make it a bit darker, like so, and it looks quite cool. Now, as a last step in this customization, I will show you how to change the tagline. And you see the tagline is right here, this green text layer. And there's a marker that says edit behind this marker. That just means that it is fully revealed behind this marker. Before, it's not fully revealed. As you see, you just see parts of it. So make sure your time indicator is behind the marker. Now you can double click, put in whatever you want here, a title, yeah. And you can, of course, specify your font and the colors just with the settings inside the character tab here. And if you do not find this in your After Effects, you can always come here to Window and open it up right here. Then one more hint as a last hint here in this customization. You see that as default, there is a glow effect on this logo. If you say, I do not want this glow effect on my logo, there's a very quick fix and a very easy fix to do that. So you simply select the logo reveal layer and also the tagline if you wish, and just drag them on top of the composition. important that it is above the overall glow, because then you see we will not have a glow effect on our logo and on our tagline. It will still affect all of the particles and all of the reveal particles, and it looks really nice. But if you just say, no, I don't want my logo to glow in the end, I want it to be in the original colors, then just do what I showed you now. I can reverse this. And of course, if you don't want to have any glow at all, then you can always come in here and just turn off this overall glow layer. There will be still some glow because these layers have individual glow, but the overall glow will be gone. Okay, so this is it with the customization process. Before you export it, always remember to turn on your depth of field again. So turn this on, make sure this is turned on. If you wish, if you don't want to use depth of field, then just leave it off. But I think that it adds to it and it makes it a bit more cool. Of course, it increases the render time. And then we can enter our audio. There is an audio composition right here. You can find the audio that I used in the preview video in the links folder, but you can of course also use any audio that you want. Just import it and put it into your audio composition, and then you're good to go. Now to the export. We have a lot of different export options in this template. If you take a look here at this folder that is called export, you will find all the resolutions and frame rates that are available for this template. So you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different versions of Full HD and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different versions of Ultra HD. So depending on what you want to export, you just choose your format, then you double click. Let's say I want to export an Ultra HD 4K resolution with 50 frames per second. I just double click here and then I'm good to export. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and again, thank you very much for purchasing and using my template. I want to invite you in the end here to visit my website, which is www.graphicinmotion.com. There you can find all my products, there you can get support, there you can also learn After Effects. I have a bunch of tutorials, also Stardust tutorials, so a lot of interesting content there. So I would really appreciate it if you take a look. If you have any questions, then feel free to drop me a mail. As I said, you can get support on my website. I thank you very much for watching, and I really hope to see you soon. Goodbye.